Pick yourself up. Are you kidding? Okay, so I can't pick myself up after a gravity debt. Good to know. How's it going, everyone? I'm a mess, and today I'll be discussing one of the most popular animes of all time, Cowboy Bebop. I'll be talking about what I liked, hated, and finally my overall thoughts on the show. Now, I've only seen the show, I haven't seen the movie yet. I might make a little update video after I've seen it, but for now, I'll only be discussing the show. First, I'd like to discuss the fight scenes. Cowboy Bebop has some of the best choreography I have seen in a long time. A lot of fights in anime have been dictated by who has the bigger attack, having the main character get a sudden surge of power to overcome a clearly stronger opponent, or having the hero outsmart the villain and leading them into a trap. But in Cowboy Bebop, each fight is methodical with some nice martial arts combat. They were visually pleasing with some awesome background music. Seeing Spike pull off some highly skilled kung fu moves to the beat of some high-paced jazz music was absolutely stunning. I just wish there was more hand-to-hand fights and less shootouts. Not to say that the gunfights in the show were bad, it was cool, it just wasn't as satisfying as the martial arts combat. Next, I'm going to talk about the characters, Spike, Jet, Faye, Ed, and the best character, Ein the Data Dog. The main character and focus point of the series is Spike Spiegel, a bounty hunter who specializes in close quarter combat. He is a skilled marksman and an exceptional pilot. He is a former member of the Red Dragon Syndicate, one of the main antagonists in the series. I'll be discussing them in greater depth later on in the video. Spike is a character whose dark past continually haunts him, and is a huge focal point during the climax of the series. I would have preferred if the show focused more on his backstory by having the Syndicate be more directly involved in the show's overall plot, but sadly that was all pushed to the end. Jet Black, a former cop who acts as Spike's straight man. While Spike is more of the goofy, uncaring character, Jet is the serious, takes care of everything for you character. He's pretty much the mother for the Bebop crew. He left the police force due to its corruption, which ended up costing him his arm after he was lured into a trap. He chose to get a robotic arm instead of a human one to remind him of his failure. He still tries his best to protect others by working as a bounty hunter alongside Spike. His character arcs were a little more interesting, seeing how it wasn't foreshadowed as much as Spike, which made his story a little easier to get into since it wasn't in the back of my mind for the whole series. Faye Valentine is a debt-ridden bounty hunter who uses her good looks to lower her bounty's guard so she can capture them. She's nearly as skilled of a pilot as Spike and can hold her own in a shootout. She was in a space shuttle accident which caused her to be placed in suspended animation for over 50 years, which is where her debt came from. She joined the Bebop crew forcefully after Spike and Jet caused her to lose a bounty. She is more of an isolationist character who doesn't trust others and keeps the rest of the crew at a distance. I personally find her to be the least interesting, if not the most annoying character in the group. Unlike Spike and Jet, her backstory is not interesting or exciting in the slightest sense. Whenever she had an episode dedicated to her, I found myself completely bored and about to fall asleep. The only thing she has going for her are her looks. However, I stopped caring for her looks the moment I saw her steal the best character's food. Yes, she ate dog food and taunted Ein, the dog, while doing it. She does slightly redeem herself later on by coming to Spike's aid when he was in trouble, but I can't forgive her for taunting Ein. Okay, moving on from my ranting, I will now talk about Ed. Edward Wong Hao Pepelu Tversky IV, or Ed for short, is the comedic teenager who's also the universe's greatest hacker. Or at least that is how the show makes it seem. She is a weird yet lighthearted character that I couldn't help but enjoy every moment she was on the screen. From her goofy rhymes to her unusual movement, everything Ed did put a smile on my face. She was the main source of comedic relief in the otherwise dark and serious tone the show provided. Her full backstory isn't given until the end, leaving her character undeveloped for most of the series, which is a little disheartening, but still well done at the end of the day. Finally, Ein, the best character in the series. Ein the Data Dog is a genetically enhanced dog who is highly intelligent to the point where he can be compared to a human. Do I need to say more? He's a dog who's smart enough to drive a car. Enough said. that aim. There we go. Witness protection? Oh, is that for saving his villagers? Shoot a terrified enemy with an arrow as they flee. Yes, because that's not ironic whatsoever. Now, before I get to my next point, I just wanted to say, before I watched this series, I heard that it had one of the best stories in anime, so I came in expecting one thing and got something else. And also, I had the ending spoiled for me, so I couldn't get into it as much as I would have liked to. So this next point is a little biased, but I thought the story was overhyped. Again, this is a biased opinion. Now, to add a little more clarity as to why I think the story is not as good as people say it is, I thought it would have a continuous storyline instead of it being an episodical series. When I watched the first episode, I heard about the syndicate and the drug trade. I thought the whole show would be around how Spike and Jet would hunt down members of the syndicate alongside Faye and Ed, who would join them later on in the series. Unfortunately for me, the second episode had nothing to do with the syndicate, but instead it revolved around animal trafficking. One positive thing about the second episode is that's when Ein was introduced as the third member of the Bebop crew. The episodic nature of the series was a huge turnoff for me because I believe episodic series fit a comedic atmosphere better than an action thriller show like Cowboy Bebop. Now, this is just my personal preference. I have never liked a show with a serious atmosphere to be episodic. It just doesn't sit well with me. It makes it more difficult for me to get invested in a character's development, which Bebop did very well. Whenever something tragic happened to one of the characters, the story moved on to something new and development gets pushed off until near the end of the series when it all comes out to the surface and they reveal their feelings to the rest of the crew. Finally, I want to talk about this series' main villain, Vicious. Having such an awesome villain but not giving him enough screen time is such a waste. His connection with Spike makes their interactions memorable and it causes the viewer to be more invested in the story. However, Vicious only shows up for about 4 or 5 episodes in a series that went on for 26 episodes. Cowboy Bebop has several other characters who didn't get enough screen time. However, I won't be talking about them in order to avoid spoilers. And I'll be mainly focusing on Vicious with some minor spoilers about him and Spike's relationship. Vicious is a member of the Red Dragon Syndicate which Spike used to be a part of. They were partners and have fought side by side until Spike left the Syndicate. Vicious, enraged by Spike's betrayal, tries to kill him on several occasions. With a villain who has a personal connection to the main character, you would think they would have more interaction with each other. Unfortunately, that's not the case, which is why I'm overly critical of the plot. I personally believe a show is as good as its best villain, and Vicious is an amazing villain with not enough screen time. Overall, Cowboy Bebop is an incredible show with some deep character development. It just didn't click with me because it's episodical and the ending was spoiled for me. I'd still rate it an 8.8 out of 10, it was definitely worth the watch, and I enjoyed the characters' interaction with each other. Cowboy Bebop is a character driven show rather than narrative driven, but it doesn't take away from the show's overall experience, which is great in case I didn't make that clear. Cowboy Bebop is the perfect starter anime. It's considered to be a classic anime for a reason. Anyone trying to get into anime should definitely check it out, it's guaranteed to be a good time. Some episodes may be hard to get through, but the characters make it worth your while. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to tell me your opinion or criticism in the comment section down below. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and remember, keep having fun. See ya!
影にありてやおらすまして川らかに今こそ後の水上ならん